Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the WCA 2015 European Pro Qualifiers. Our Hearthstone matches still continue with our two individuals. One, Kolento from the Ukraine, and Thijs from the Netherlands are fighting from the lower bracket. The winner will continue in the tournament, and the loser goes home. I know both players are almost ready. The crowd here at gamescom 2015 is ready. Let's start the match.
Kolento versus Thijs. The loser goes home, but also the loser doesn't get any prize, and he's not going to China. So this is the elimination match. This is the first elimination match, but this is the most important of all. And I was talking to Kolento before it started, and if he wins, he can actually win 2 more matches and take the tournament. So from 0-3 to 3-0 and a win.
He's capable of it. It is Kolento, one of the best players in the world currently. This is the match of dreams and nightmares. One player will continue to dream, be able to maybe even win the event, whereas the other player who loses will have its worst nightmare of Gamescom come true. He will go home with nothing, and he will have to live with that. It's really tough. These two players are probably nervous, even though they're professional players. They've got a lot on the line here, and it's going to be an intense and exciting match.
There's so much pressure, but I think the slighter pressure is actually on Thijs, because yesterday he was playing versus Kolento and he was able to win. He was able to take the match. So right now, coming into this first round, Thijs versus Kolento, Thijs does have an edge.
And Thijs actually queues up Handlock into Patron Warrior, his good matchup. We had something like this in the previous game, and Stan Sifka couldn't use that good matchup in his favor, but we've also seen Patron Warrior take out Handlock in this event. So hopefully Thijs will be able to pull out the good match unlike Stan Sifka, but Kolento, if anyone can beat Handlock, it's him.
Definitely. Patron versus Handlock is such a difficult matchup, but it's even more difficult versus the Demon Handlock that's running Void Callers, Joraxes, Mal'Ganis, and I believe Thijs is running 1 Doomguard, was it? Or 2 Doomguards?
I think it's 1 so far, and speaking of Doomguard, he shows up in the hand. Not a great draw for him yet until he gets that Void Caller, but if he does get the Void Caller, his demons are looking pretty good.
So what is Thijs looking for? The Void Caller, as you said. What else?
Thijs wants to start setting up a wall of taunts. He wants to be able to get that giant, those Twilight Drakes, but he also wants to get the Defender of Argus behind them. So Kolento will start have to use removal and his board to contest it. But the thing with Handlock is they have a lot of taunt options and a lot of big minions that can keep the board intact. But Kolento, on the other hand, what does he need to win this match?
He needs draw. A lot of draw, he needs a lot of cards, he needs to draw into his removal. He only has double execute in the deck, he has the weapons as well. So he needs removal and combo pieces to actually win. One of the best ways to win versus Handlock is when you get Torsen early, and Torsen hits Frolling Berserker, Warzone Commander, and maybe 1-2 Whirlwind and Sebugul, so that you can buff the board twice. So he will now focus mostly on drawing. If there is no Twilight Drake from Thijs or no Giant, he will be happy because he will have enough time to actually get into and draw those cards. His hand is amazing. He has a lot of draw for now, so he will be getting a very big hand late game.
And Twilight Drake's a fantastic pickup for Thijs. He can put that 4-9 down. You can test both these Acolyte of Pains. So unless he finds some way to damage them and start drawing cards, you get some nice clean trades there. Speaking of Thijs though, I was watching him play on ladder earlier, and he was playing Patron Warrior versus Handlock, and he managed to do 19 damage in 1 turn against a Handlock, and he turned to me and he said, "He didn't taunt. Why wouldn't you taunt? You're going to lose if you don't taunt." So Thijs understands what he needs to do to win this game.
Absolutely. I think both players, they play this matchup many times. On ladder, Patron is super popular, and other players are bringing Handlock as a counter. Also this specific version with demons as well. But he needs the Void Caller to have a value of the Doomguard. Still, he is in a good spot.
This Death Rattle can actually draw some nice cards for Kolento. He does have ways to deal with them. He can use the minion to trade into 1 given in 1 card. He's got Dark Bomb. He's actually got 2 Dark Bombs available to him. But trading here is probably the better option because Deathbite is going to clear up this minion regardless. So you might as well keep a Dark Bomb back for later. Could be used against a Warsong Commander or something. So he has to decide what else he does. He's got a Giant to come down. He might be afraid of Execute.
How expensive is Giant at the moment? Is it for free mana? Because it's a bit covered on my side.
I think it's free mana at the moment, yeah.
9 cards in hand, right?
3 or 4 mana. We will see very shortly. He also has the Force on in hand as well, so he can cheapen his hand even further coming to turn 6. Things are looking pretty decent for Thijs, but you can never count out this Patron Warrior because it's just a crazy deck.
It seems like Giant is actually for 4 mana, because then just Darkbone Giant would be the best play. And he had 9 cards, and Giant is for free with the 10 cards in hand.
Yeah, that's true.
So he wasn't able to play the Giant there, even though it would be the best play if it would be with 3 mana. Kolento was able to cycle those Acolyte of Pain, so he still has some draw. Unfortunately, Battle Rage is only drawing 1 card. He picked up Patron, though, with Inner Rage.
But we've talked about this matchup, and Patron is not exactly the most important card in this match. It's Frothing Berserker that finds the lethal fear.
There is a second strategy available that you rarely can see in some tournaments. And the strategy is based around trying to force Patrons earlier and test your opponent if he has the AoE. And if you go for that, if there is no AoE, you will win the game. And right now, Thijs doesn't have any AoE effects in his hand. He only has the taunts.
And the taunts can be enough, but if you can't clear the Patron board, they're capable of trading them in so efficiently and using more whirlwind effects to generate more. I think we just actually heard the audience shout, "Everyone get in here." That's fantastic. So we have Voidcaller available here. He has some fantastic demons, but double Voidcaller is a little awkward. Giant is a nice minion, big, bulky, can get taunted up as well, make a massive body, which Execute generally deals with, but if he hasn't got that, he has to start using his board, and that plays into Thijs' favor. Force on seems pretty decent here as well, mind you.
I think I like killing one of the patrons at least. He has a Dark Bomb, so killing the healthy patron, and then you're left with 4 mana. So you can play the Giant. You can start with the Giant and then Dark Bomb, or you can go with Voidcaller and Dark Bomb after that. I like going for the Voidcaller more because there is a possibility of the Big Game Hunter. So if you go Giant and a free Dark Bomb, then Big Game Hunter clears your board and you have nothing. And with Voidcaller, you at least have this situation where if Voidcaller dies, you are getting a demon, which will be either Voidcaller or Doomguard or Mal'Ganis.
I definitely agree with this play. You want to be able to protect your board, and this Death Rattle's the best way to do it. Like you said, Giant is vulnerable to Big Game Hunter, which you've seen Life Coach get a lot of value from with it in his Patron deck recently. But not only that, like you said, it's sticky, it sticks to the board, it gives you another threat that Patron have to deal with. So I do like this play from Thijs.
That was very interesting, by the way. He was thinking which patron to kill. If you kill the 3/3, then you are open to Battle Rage from Kolento, but if you kill the 3/2 to counter Battle Rage, there is a possibility of a slam into your minion and have another patron.
Yeah, that's a tough turn. He was making the decision. I guess he values the 3/3 being destroyed further because he doesn't want more patrons to be generated from that guy. This 3/2's only got 1 more patron left in him, and then he can't make any more. So
definitely,
he's just trying to reduce the impact patron can have on the board. But Kolento actually finds 2 Battle Rages worth of card draw from this patron having some health loss. So Kolento actually got some good value from it.
I wonder if this will be a mental blow to Thijs, because he made the decision. He said in his head, I don't care about Battle Rage that much, I just don't want to see more patrons. And then Kolento just double Battle Rages for 4 cards, filling his hand and giving himself options. Thijs might be a bit distressed about that situation.
And another patron comes out with the Inner Rage. He does trade. What does he find here? The Doomguard comes down, and Thijs will have a 5/7 to work with this turn as well. That's really good for him.
Yeah, Doomguard is amazing. Just being able to kill that patron. Now he can decide what to do, because after killing the patron, the board is almost non-existent. Handlock doesn't have to fear Armor Smith. Just go with the Torisan. And after Torisan, the plays that Thijs will have in his armory are just amazing.
He does have a taunt activator as well, ready, Defender Ragas. He doesn't feel threatened enough at this point. The Frothing Berserker will make an impact. So Giants and Defender Ragas is coming up soon. Even an Ancient Watch is a good target for it, because a 5/6 is a bulky minion. It can take 2 patrons on. So Thijs has got a good hand. Kolento finds a first one of his own as well. but he's got two big threats on the board right now that he has to consider if he wants to deal with them.
He actually has Execute as well. So Thoris and Execute are on curve, are pretty good, but on the other hand, well, I think you need to execute the Torisan. So you attack into Torisan with your 1/4, you execute Torisan, and then you play your own Torisan. Torisan is going to die to the 5/4 Doomguard, but you're nowhere near dying, and you hit a lot of good cards that will be cheaper, and you will have a chance to get more cards even with them with shield blocks. Unfortunately for Kolento, he doesn't have Frothings yet, so when he gets those Frothings, they will be a bit more expensive. So he keeps his Armor Smith, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. He just doesn't seem to care about this Force at this point. Maybe he just feels that he can get a clean execute on the Doomguard. He can keep his Armor Smith around just to generate some more health. So he must value Armor Smith sticking around. He probably expects Ties to trade anyway. But if Ties doesn't, or he just buffs it, he can reduce his hand even further. And this Mal'Ganis is getting cheaper and cheaper. And Mal'Ganis could be a big impact on this game.
Certainly. I think this turn you do buff the Torisan with Defender Vargas. So you'll have 5 mana open, playing a Void Caller, ensuring a Mal'Ganis from it next turn. I think it's excellent as well. So it's 6 mana. You have 2 mana left to do something. You might even tap.
You know what's scary for Kolento as well? He just executed a 5/4 Doomguard. So he has 1 execute left, and Ties has 2 Moltons, 2 Mountains, Mal'Ganis, Doomguard's gone now, but he has a lot of threats, which his minions are going to have to punch through. So he might have to use stuff like Throbbing Berserker to start trading stuff like a 9/9 Taunted Mountain Giant. So it does make Ties in a very good position here.
Yeah, I like playing the Giant instead of Void Caller even more. It's a big thing, hard to deal with.
You've just seen an execute as well, so maybe he felt it was safer to commit a 9/9 to the board now because the execute is gone. He'd need to draw into the next one, and even if he executes this one, Mal'Ganis is coming up, more Giants. It's looking great for him. Kolento, this was always going to be a tough match for Kolento, but if anyone can find a way to victory, it's definitely him.
He needs to get those Frothings. Without Frothings, he might not get out of this. If he just pushes the button, gets the patrons, those patrons are going to get killed easily. There is a Shadow Flame now available for Ties. So just even a Big Game Hunter Shadow Flame will clear the board of patrons. So the only way to win is double Frothing and some buffs. But at the moment he doesn't have them, so he needs to think of the way how not to lose.
Yeah, it's tough for him. He can slam here, trying to find another card. He needs that execute, I think, to deal with this 9/9 at the moment. He can deal with the Force-on, which is fine. But having 9/9 swing at your face, uncontested, is tough.
Yeah, it is. In theory, you can just attack it with Death Bite twice, but then you take how much damage? 27?
And he actually finds the execute there with the draw. He can't use it this turn because he doesn't have enough mana, but next turn he can use it. But he may find some other options. Patron has a lot of reach with this deck. He may be able to clear up. Ties finds another Defender Vargas, another problem for the Patron Warriors, especially with these Ancient Watchers. They can start make this massive wall that Kolento is going to really struggle to get through, and the Hellfire as well. He's got everything he needs.
He really needed the Defender Vargas because there were no taunts for him and double Ancient Watcher, so that's a fantastic pickup. Ties can just pick his tools. On the other hand, just building up a big board can also be a threat into the Frothings, because if there is double Frothing in the opposing hand, a lot of Wooden effects, weapon maybe, but there is not enough mana to do all that. Even after the Torisan, there's only 4 cards left with the reduced cost, and Ties knows that. He is counting those cards, probably writing down as well what has been used and what not.
And Kolento was forced to use an execute on a non-taunted target, so he only has 1 left available to him. He can get rid of this 9/7. I'm curious to see what Kolento is looking to do here with this Patron. Probably just clear the way. 2 Arguses have gone, so when Ties develops another board, it might be more open to the Frothing combo. He's just trying to sustain his board here right now.
Yes, for now, Kolento is trying to clear this board with patrons. And that's very smart. That's one of the tools that Patron has to just, you don't always have to go for face. If you exhaust all the taunts that your opponent has, and that was second Defender Vargas, there is no more taunts in the hand of Ties, Kolento might actually be able to not only clear, but put himself in a position where he will be the one having an advantage.
I love that he's held onto the execute here. He can save this execute for the next taunter that comes down, so he may have a potential set of lethal with that Frothing when he finally finds it. But Mal'Ganis comes down for Thijs, and he can just execute it. So Kolento actually deals with this board efficiently, and Thijs maybe on the back foot.
Till the end of the rope, he was able to execute. That was a magnificent turn, guys. Magnificent turn from Kolento.
And
7
Thijs has got
health.
7 health. Healbot just finds it to his hand, but will it be enough with this board? He can Hellfire and Healbot, but it's tough.
Healbot is actually amazing because he had no taunts, he had no way to, even if you Hellfire, he will be dead to Death's Bite. Now Healbot and Shadow Flame means that he will be able to heal back to 15, clear the board, but Kolento still is not done. He has Death's Bite, he has some draw in his hand, and those Frothings are somewhere there just waiting.
Kolento has plenty of threats left in his deck. Like you said, Frothing is the scariest card that Thijs could face. But right now he's staring down a board of patrons. He has a way to deal with it. But Hellfire Healbot, it doesn't leave you in the most greatest of positions, especially when Handlock is one of those decks that has a lot of bulky minions, a lot of big heavy hitters in the deck. And he actually just commits most of the board. So he needs to find a Stun Fury protector now to start protecting himself again.
Actually, Thijs is going for the kill, using the Hellfire, having 11 attack on board. He will be able to silence the Ancient Watcher, and he will try to race Kolento in those last turns. Who is going to be faster? That's the biggest question.
Well, so far, Thijs has what he needs to start playing, threatening lethal. However, Kolento still needs to start drawing stuff. If Kolento can find another Warsong commander, and he's now found a Frothing Berserker, he still has a lot of Whirlwind effects available to him. Unstable Ghoul being able to be charged and get another Whirlwind effect. So both players are really close to kind of finishing each other off. This just shows how talented both these guys are.
If he picks up a second Warsong, that game will be over, I believe. So much damage and the triple Whirlwind effect. He will only need like 3 minions on board. Twilight Drake is not great. He will need to tap, and dropping down to 10, there is this... Oh, he picks up Protector. So he will be able to survive, sustain for now.
That's a great draw from him. He really needed that to help him secure this win. He gets to play a kind of weak Twilight Drake, but a body's a body at this point. It's got 4 attack. He can test a lot of the stuff Kolento has. Only Forrison, I think, is the only one with a base attack value that can contest something like that. So Twilight Drake can come down, Stun Fury if he feels like he's threatened, but at this point I definitely feel pretty threatened from Kolento.
If Thijs puts 2 taunts on board, then one taunt is going to die to the weapon attack, and then the second, if this Twilight Drake will have, it will be a 4/4. So if Kolento picks up a Warsong commander, he still wins. He'll have a way to clear both taunts, because Twilight Drake is going to die to a ghoul attack with double Whirlwind. So if that's a Warsong, Kolento wins right now, right here, with an attack from Frothing Berserker. If it's not a Warsong, it's a Warsong commander!
Oh man, he finds the Warsong.
He has enough mana, he just needs to go through the motions, playing that Frothing, Unstable Ghoul, attacking into the 4/4. He doesn't even have to actually, he has the weapon, he can clear both taunts, buffing Frothing to, every Whirlwind is 8 points of damage. He just needs to Whirlwind once, he doesn't even need to kill his Ghoul, but there is still a possibility.
Fantastic play from Kolento there. That patron turn to clear that ball was incredible play from him. And he finds the lethal here. Thijs.
22 damage to face. That's a massive attack. Such a difficult matchup.
I know Thijs fought really hard there. He almost sustained, but we've been saying this is a bad matchup for most of the week, but Patron has found the wins here at this event. Maybe it's not as lopsided as we believe anymore. Maybe that Frothing Berserker is the key. It's just the key to winning that game.
It is the key, but I think the key turn was when he actually had those patrons. That turn, when he was able to clear the board with the giant and with so many taunts, was the turn. And he actually put Thijs to 7. So he positioned himself to have that Warsong drawn and actually finish the turn. Even the patron on 5, actually, just playing a patron in a rage, having those 2 minions, contest the minions from Thijs, like putting the pressure all the time, where Thijs needs to play those taunts, heal himself, not enough time to attack Kolento, pressure, bought him a win.
Kolento must be really happy with this win. It's a bad matchup, like we said. He got that win, much like Life Coach got his win with a bad matchup. So if history repeats itself, Kolento could be on the way to his win. But Thijs is a fantastic player, very talented young player. He was working really hard yesterday. He was actually practicing. He wants this. He's hungry for it. So he is going to fight to win this, and Kolento is going to have to do some work here. And
right now we are going to see game number 2, Hunter versus Hunter, a mirror match. I believe there are some differences in the decks. Kolento running Web Spinner, Thijs running Leper Gnomes, but it is a very intricate match.
It's tough. You've got to make some really key decisions. Trade-in is usually one of the massive decisions in the match. You don't want to fall behind. You want to be able to race each other. But sometimes you are forced to trade. Sometimes you're forced to take risks as well. And the player who can identify those two things are the players who will come out on top in this matchup. So this is going to be a fantastic game. We saw a fantastic Hunter game earlier on in the week as well, where it was really tight and it really came down to key decisions, key little trades here and there. So I'm expecting an exciting match here.
So let's evaluate the hands quickly. For Thijs, he's going second. He opened with a Haunted Creeper. He has a great curve with Animal Companion Bow. He has choices, Pilot Shredder. How does it look for Kolento?
Kolento has that freezing trap. You don't really want to find that when you have a scientist, but it looks like he's setting it up, sending that Haunted Creeper back. I like this play because it protects his Web Spinner and he can keep the pressure on. However, Thijs does have a strong curve with minions, and the freezing trap bounces out as you'd expect, and the scientist comes down. Kolento will want to find a nice free drop here now.
Unless if he doesn't get a free drop, he will be forced to play Mad Scientist. Dr. Boom is interesting. It's not that great in the matchup, but I've seen many Hunters actually win with it. Because in Hunter, if you go back and forth, if the wave of the match doesn't go into on our side, in one side, then Dr. Boom is the card that actually overpowers your opponent. In most matches in Hearthstone, actually, when you play Dr. Boom, you win. But right now, it's a bit too early.
Yeah, it's one of the things since GVG you kind of notice in these matchups where you're kind of quite level, you're trading, board is being contested either side, back and forth, and then the first player on 7 to drop Dr. Boom usually has a massive advantage, and the Animal Companion comes out finding a Huffer, so now Thijs can consider if he wants to race or not. I think this Web Spinner definitely needs to go. You don't want to be Houndmastered. I don't think we've seen one from Kolento just yet, but Stansifka was bringing Houndmasters. And of course, this Huffer can go face. Or, however, he could attack the face first and trade the scientist and then protect his Huffer. So he's got a lot of decisions here to make. And this is where this match gets really interesting.
This is a very difficult board. You have your Huffer, and normally when you get a Huffer, you're like, yeah, let's go face for damage. But here, do you trade into 1-1 to get some value? Do you attack face and then trade Mad Scientist as you suggested? What is the trap you're going to get? If that's explosive trap, it will be tough and you are going to lose the Huffer. If that's a freezing, that's great. But he goes for face and trade Mad Scientist. So the play you suggested, I like it. I think killing the Web Spinner is not that important, especially not with the Huffer. Losing 4 damage is just too much. In this matchup, Hunter versus Hunter, you have to be on top. You have to be the one being aggressive, so the opponent is trying to defend against you. And he got a trap himself, which will be either explosive or freezing, I believe.
And Thijs is a player who's known for doing a lot of research and a lot of preparation, so Thijs probably knows that Kolento might not be running Houndmaster here and doesn't see the threat. And the explosive trap comes down, clearing out that Web Spinner, so his Huffer is protected from the minion. However, the trap from Kolento, I'm assuming it's freezing, but we don't quite know yet. So we'll have to see what this trap is and how it affects his Huffer. If it's freezing, he still gets a 4-2 charge. That's still quite threatening, especially in a game that does come down to racing sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely true. And Huffer is one of those minions that you can play later. So we have a situation where Kolento is a bit lower on health, 24 to 28. Both players having a Pilot Shredder, but Kolento is the one with initiative. He's going to play another minion. He gets Savannah High Main. That would be amazing on turn 6. He has that Beast, but Beast is weird. You can always kill it in a way and then get a free. But if they go card for card, and at some point, oh, another Huffer. That's a mirror match. Huffer to Huffer, Shredder to Shredder.
These guys are just matching up perfectly, identical.
And again, do you go for face or do you trade into Pilot Shredder?
face is the place here. He's just going for it. He's putting on the pressure. And now Thijs needs to play reactively and try and deal with the cards here. I do like the face option here from Kolento.
Absolutely. There is a saying that in the Hunter Mirror, whoever starts to trade minion is going to lose.
That's true. And Thijs traded first, didn't he? So if Kolento was to win this match, that could have been it. That turn could have been really important. But Thijs does have a lot of burst options in his hand as well. He's got that Huffer, that bounce back, Wolf Rider, Eagle Hornbill, quick shot. He's got so much damage. So Thijs does have the option to race himself, but he needs to consider how fast Kolento can race him.
So Thijs 7 to face, dealing with a Huffer, 17. He has Eagle Hornbill, as you said, so 10 points of damage coming from him next turn. That Huffer can do something as well, but seems like a high main turn.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, the problem with Kolento's hand in comparison to Thijs' hand here is it's a lot slower. It relies on board presence more than burst, so he's going to need to play these bulkier minions and hope Thijs deals with him to slow him down. But Thijs, on the other hand, has a lot of burst damage available to him, so Thijs could potentially race him. But the one advantage he has the bulky minions. You don't want to leave a high main alone most of the time, so...
Oh, certainly.
What's Thijs going to do here?
This is an amazing situation where anybody can still win this match. Depending on what they play, how the Shredders turn up to be. There is an Unleash the Hounds for Thijs, 6 mana, and there is a high main. So right now you have to be concerned. First, you need to analyze if you're dead next turn. 10, 12 points of damage just from the board, and you're dead if there is anything that buffs those minions. So he goes for the trade. Pine-Side Summoner is not amazing, but it's a minion you have to deal with, and if you attack into it with the Shredder, that's 4 damage lost. You're not going to phase, you start trading. And that high main is still there, just waiting for you.
He does have a way to sort of deal with it without using his health. Bow wouldn't be great here. You don't want to give any hunters more damage, but he does have Knife Juggler Hound, so if he gets some good juggles, he might be able to take out the hyenas as well. But it looks like he's going to leave this high main alone and start putting on pressure.
He's planning to get Freezing Trap from Mad Scientist, and Freezing Trap will help him to deal with the high main next turn. But this is Kolento's moment, and he has... If he gets a Huffer, he wins.
Yeah, Huffer would be great for him. He has Abusive Sergeant and Hero Power that would line up perfectly for lethal. So Kolento now is probably thinking, let's Dr. Boom or Animal... I think you go for Animal Companion. You just go for the win here, right?
If you play... So you are staring at 9 points of damage. 11, I think you have to go for Animal Companion. And that's a Liak. So now he needs to evaluate the board again. I have 4 mana left. I have this high main. If I go for phase, I'm probably dead next turn, especially also because there is the Freezing Trap, so I will not be able to finish the game. But 9 points of damage, 11 points of damage, leaving your opponent at 3, that's annoying. It's 1 too much. You would love to Hero Power next turn and win, but if your opponent locks your minions, you will need to rely on top deck.
And you don't want to give the hunter the opportunity to swing it back and take the game himself, so he has actually taken a more aggressive stance here. He knows that Huffer has bounced back to Thijs' hand, so he knows he does have another charge minion available to him.
Well, that's actually lethal. Maybe he forgot about the Huffer.
So Huffer comes down.
Huffer comes down, and that's enough. So Thijs is going to take game number 2, tying the series versus Kolento. Thijs from Nihilum fighting back, giving no quarter.
This was almost like last time they played. Yesterday it was very back and forth, and Thijs did manage to find the win there, but they'd already kind of secured their spots in the bracket at that point. Their seeding had to be done, so the game didn't mean as much as this one, because this one means one player is going to go to China and the other's not. So this match has a lot of weight on both of these players.
The stakes are high, and there is a lot of pressure. Also, no money as well, and they spent so many days here at Gamescom playing, trying to succeed, both coming into that lower bracket. You know, with a bit damaged mental state, you don't feel good when you play and lose all the time. So Thijs had this a little edge, winning versus Kolento yesterday, but today I think at this moment they are on equal footing mentally.
Oh, definitely, and you can see it in the play. They've both gone 1-1 here. They've tied it up. They're both playing exceptionally well as well to go with that, and it looks like the hunter is coming back for Kolento, and Thijs gets the role with his Patron Warrior now. So maybe he'll find a success that Kolento found with it and make some fantastic plays. But Loot Hoarder is interesting, actually. Loot Hoarder was kind of featuring in Patron. And then it kind of fell off, and people were playing stuff like the Dread Corsair, Gnomish Inventor became more popular. Gromash, Dr. Boom even at some point. What do you think of Loot Hoarder in Patron at this point?
I think it's a different metagame because when Loot Hoarder came out of the deck, it was on ladder. So on ladder, you couldn't really play it that much. There was a lot of patrons, so that matchup was super popular, and Loot Hoarder was bad in the matchup versus Warriors as well. But if you're playing in a tournament, you can mix your decks a bit, make some changes. And then Loot Hoarder is a great card, a 2/1 that can draw your card and even make some damage. So I like it. I like draw cards. Maybe, does he play double Gnomish Inventor?
I'm not sure. I imagine he plays at least one to go with his Loot Hoarder. I'm pretty sure he plays 2 Loot Hoarders. I'm sure Thijs can correct me if I'm wrong later. But this Loot Hoarder actually does contest this Haunted Creeper. Of course, the 1/1s will spawn, but you generally just don't want hunters to have beasts about anyway. You don't want kill command activators. So Loot Hoarder will put on some pressure here, and Kolento can actually clear up the bow if he pleases. I imagine he's going to do that.
I think that's a good move. Another option was just to play a second Haunted Creeper and allow Thijs to attack in his minion. What Kolento wants is, he wants to have a beast in case he top decks a Houndmaster, so that he can actually buff the minion. What do you think about Thijs' hand overall?
Thijs' hand is decent. Deathspite is awesome. It's a really good card for Warrior. Having Deathspite on 4 helps really deal with the board. Forasan, of course, we've seen the power of Forasan and what he's capable of, but he's going to still need to find some pressure here. Shield block's a great card against Hunter as well, gives you some sustain, but Kolento's looking pretty good right now.
Definitely. Kolento needs to pressure as much as possible. What is going to come out of the Spider Shredder? 2 free pirates. That's not bad. A free attack minion would be better, but that's something.
Yeah, it's pretty decent. Like, Kolento has 5 mana. He has some minions he can commit to. Might want to squeeze in the hero power this turn with an animal companion. I don't think that would be too bad either, so he just keeps his hand nice and full. But he can also just really commit to the board if he wants to and put some pressure on. Misha's not bad as well. It does stop the Deathspite. It does protect this 2/3 as well. So Mad Scientist come in, he's got a nice lot of pressure on the board. And now Thijs is going to have to find answers to quite a few minions.
Thijs has an execute, so he will be able to attack with the Deathspite into Misha, killing the spiders as well. Then if he chooses to execute the 2/3. But on the other hand, he maybe can just attack and slam Torison. He will be facing... He deals 4, so he takes 4, so he'll be at 16. And then there is 9 damage incoming. Torison is really risky here. You can just die to Hunter.
I can imagine it's tempting though. Forasan's always a tempting play on 6, especially if you have the coin, reducing that hand size. He does have a shield block, so it'll give him an opportunity to sustain a little bit more. If you find some whirlwinds and stuff, maybe some patrons, he can start getting some armor, the armor smith. But like you said, it is a very risky play. This is an important turn for Thijs. He doesn't want to go too low, and he doesn't want to give Kolento an opportunity to set up lethal in the next 2-3 turns.
You also have to think about the high main coming on 6. So when I play versus Hunter in this matchup, I always try to gain as much armor for armor up as possible, because that's like free life you're getting every turn to squeeze into armor. But he might not have the space here, taking 4 damage from that bear.
I think there's a merit to playing Armor Smith here to gain that 1 armor, maybe even Acolyte of Pain. He does actually execute. Okay, he's going to draw some cards as well. That's good. So
he picks up another execute for that high main. That's a very important card.
And he picks up a slam as well, so even if this Armor Smith gets dealt with, at least he has a way to activate the execute on the high main. But those little hyenas, they can be a bit of a nuisance at this point.
Yeah, that will be a second execute as well, so if Kolento picks up any other big minion, that will be troublesome for Thijs. We can see that high main, a 6/5 Lion, Mad Scientist going through, attacking into Armor Smith with the weapon makes a lot of sense. You want to deal with Armor Smith as possible. If there will be a couple of patrons in Whirlwind, that Armor Smith presents so much life that it just can't be on board.
He does find the Patron Warrior here. It doesn't really accomplish much. He does need to deal with this Hymen. He can slam execute, but the hyenas come out. Hyenas are a bit of a nuisance at this point because it's not turn 8 yet and he can't use the Patron combo. But he does have coin, so if he holds on to coin, maybe if he finds a Warsong next turn, things will look a lot better for him.
Unless he decides to use the coin to armor up to gain some health. But with the hyenas intact, if he I was thinking Fireworks as well and coin hero power, but he also has the shield block.
I think he's seen this play as well. Oh no, he goes for the death flight. Okay. So maybe he's thinking about setting up some patron stuff next turn in case he draws. Oh no, he can't Warsong there because he's just lost the coin. So maybe he just wants to be able to set up a win condition for himself because he is playing reactive here. He's playing from behind. He does actually need to consider how does he win this game.
Oh wow, Animal Companion is a great card. He's getting a Huffer. That will be 4, 6, 8, 10 points of damage coming from Kolento this turn. Putting Thijs in a really tight spot.
And another sticky minion, Haunted Creeper, very hard to deal with. The 1/1 tokens do mean a lot at this point because they are threatening lethal. He's got a shield block. He can maybe find someone to help him get back in this game, but it's going to be really tough for Thijs. He's probably going to start with a shield block, I imagine, just to see what he can find. But
if he gets a Whirlwind, then he'll be able to attack face, then Enrage the Spider, Whirlwind, to clear everything. There will only be a secret for Kolento. He didn't find it.
Yeah, Whirlwind was definitely a card he needed. He can perhaps still find it here with the Death's Bite, but maybe he needs to just go for that as well anyway, even though he knows there's no guarantee he'll get the Whirlwind. He's just gonna lose otherwise. He actually hovering over the Armor Smith instead. He needs to draw a card. He needs to find that Whirlwind, I think.
If he doesn't find Whirlwind, he attacks face and then kills Mad Scientist. He can enrage the Huffer, and there is only 3 damage on board. And he ends up with denying the beast is also nice. Oh, he didn't deny the beast fully, but just killing the hyena. He's at 10. There's only 1 damage, 3 damage total with the hero power. So Kolento is not there yet. Thijs was able to build up a lot of armor and put himself in a position where he maybe can start turning the game around.
Yeah, I like this. That was actually a really good play from him. He gained a lot of health. I mean, double kill command is definitely a thing, but you can't play around that. If he's got double kill command, he's got double kill command. So he probably did the best play there. He felt to help sustain against a worse hand than, say, double kill command or a quick shot. So, yeah, good play from Thijs. I really like that. Kolento here can still put some pressure on. He has that abusive. He may see value in clearing the Armor Smith, because turn 8 is a turn where Whirlwinds can start coming down if he draws them and start gaining some armor. So I can see some value in taking out the Armor Smith here.
I think that's the play. On the other hand, we don't know what the secret is. And if you deal 5 damage this turn, your opponent will be at 5. So Unleash the Hound. You have to also consider how many minions there can be with the Whirlwind. 8 mana next turn for Thijs. If he plays Green Patron, Enrage, Whirlwind, that will be pretty devastating, but
I like to use the Hunter's Mark here, and mainly because Hunter's Mark won't find many targets outside of Forsom. But not only that, he saves the Abusive Sergeant for the Unleash the Hound, so he just gives himself an extra 2 damage for when he finally goes for that kill turn. So Thijs here does find a slam. He can't slam anything here to draw a card, and drawing a card is really important. He could Acolyte slam it.
Acolyte slam, but I think he needs to armor up. You just want to put your life higher and play some minions on board that will be able to trade. But there's that freezing trap, I believe, just waiting for Thijs. So putting something big is not that great. If he just slams Acolyte, that will be 5 mana, so he has 3 left.
It just gets traded into really easily by one of these spiders, and Thijs doesn't really develop any pressure of his own. He's just holding on by a thread, just trying to survive. Armor Up comes down first. He knows it must be done, so he's going to see how much money he has left now and what he can do for us. Som's being hovered over. He can drop this, maybe find a way to come back here if he gets that War Song, but Kolento is very close to finishing him off here.
Kolento has 6 points of damage just with Abusive Hero Power and Spiders. So this will put Thijs to 5. If he picks up Kill Command, will that be enough? 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes, Kill Command should be finishing the game because Unleash the Hound is going to give him one more Hound. Savannah Highmane is not lethal by any chance, but that's a minion that's hard to deal with, and we've seen double execute already.
I like this. I think Highmane's great. It's a great pickup for him. He's still on 28 health. He's still protected by a freezing trap. Dropping something as big and as threatening as that is almost guaranteed going to secure him the win here, especially if he's on 5 health. That Whirlwind finally comes, but it's just a bit too late.
There is no Armor Smith anymore, so he can armor up. It will leave him on 5 mana. 1 Whirlwind is not enough to deal with the hyenas yet. He will need something more. No way to actually charge the throttling as well. There is a war song now, but that's secret. If that's a freezing trap, it's protecting the high main.
Actually, if he plays Warsong Grim and he whirlwinds, he can use one of his Warsongs to get the trap, if that's correct, and then he can start creating more patrons from the board. So, but he doesn't armor up, which is really dangerous. There's a lot going through Thijs' head here, how to figure out to do this. Oh, Whirlwind actually clears him, and sorry, silly me. So he actually doesn't generate any tokens at all, apart from... Oh yeah, you'll get them from the high main. So he has to use his forest on here.
Yeah, but this is lethal anyway because of the Unleash the Hounds. He's getting those 4 patrons out here. Everyone is getting in here, but everyone is just going to die to the dogs because Unleash the Hounds is waiting for Kolento. 6 damage in total in his hand. He might even draw something else. Web Spinner is a blank, but it doesn't matter. He unleashes the Hounds, charges face, and takes game number 3, extending his lead to 2-1 versus Thijs.
Kolento is 1 game away from qualifying for China, for taking that prize money and having an opportunity to get to grand finals and face Life Coach. Thijs is on the brink of elimination here. He needs to find a way to deal with Kolento's last deck, which is the Rogue, and the Rogue has been a funny deck for Kolento in this tournament.
That is a plot twist, because Rogue is really awkward. Rogue was playing versus the best matchup, Green Patron, and it lost. Then it lost to another best matchup, Paladin from Stanislav Sivka. What is Rogue going to face versus Thijs? What can Thijs bring first to conquest this deck?
Handlock is an option. Oil Rogue has a better matchup against Handlock than Miracle Rogue used to. He's still got the Patron left as well, and Patron's a good matchup for the Rogue. So yes, he's got to make a choice here, I think, with his choice. It doesn't really matter, he's going to face Rogue, so he can play the Patron first and try and win that game and gain some momentum, gain some courage to go forward and win the series, or he can start with a good matchup and then try and deal with the bad matchup later. But I think just getting the win might be enough momentum for him to feel good going into the last game. But it depends on the player and how their mentality works and how they find these wins and how they think about their matches.
Okay, so game number 4 is going to start. Demon Lock versus Rogue. Thijs with his back to the wall. He cannot lose anymore. Kolento just needs 1 more game to advance. As a Rogue, what do you really need versus Handlock?
He's got time at least to find answers. Sap is really good as well. Slows down that Warlock. He's going to want to find a Tinkers and a Blade Flurry. They're going to be really important. You can build up a big weapon. There used to be a point where Handlock wasn't running a lot of weapon removal, but then Patron came along and weapon removal became quite popular. So now he can't kind of sit back and build a big dagger to contest a board. He's going to have to be very cautious of anything like a Harrison or a Ooze, and we do actually see an Ooze in Thijs' hand. So what do you think of Thijs' hand? Do you think it looks good?
So he has double Engine of Washer and a Taunt. He will be able to deal with the early pressure, but against Violet Teacher it might be tricky. I like the Ooze, definitely. Ooze is a great card. If Kolento puts any buff on a weapon, that weapon is going down. Having Hellfire is also nice because if there is a lot of free minions, he can deal with it. But can he deal with that Violet Teacher? That Violet Teacher is going to spawn some tokens that will be annoying and will just chip Thijs' life.
He's just out of reach. He's got the Dark Bomb Mortal Coil. It's just not enough. You may have to start trying to create some pressure. Maybe with a tap first to see what he finds. Ancient Watcher could come down. He could double Ancient Watcher if you want to be really bold and set up a taunt next turn. So this is where Handlock becomes really tough. There's a lot of very key decisions you need to make. Unlike, say, other decks like Tempo decks where you can kind of just play on curve and you can kind of go with the flow of your hand, Handlock has a lot of decision-making involved.
Sabotage, again, comes to Kolento's hand. He is playing that card and to some good effect, especially in this meta game where people play Patron and they do have weapons. Weapon removal became a great thing.
He's actually found some success in this tournament with it as well, being able to deal with a threat on the board and remove that weapon. Some people would probably opt for Harrison Jones instead to give the Rogue some more draw as well. But I like Sabotage. I like to see Sabotage in the deck. I'd like to see what Kolento is capable of with it.
So here, Thijs has Shadow Flame and Mortal Coil just to clear the board. But then that's the second Ancient Watcher he lost. So Defender of Argus would not be that great. But on the other hand, if you taunt up and there is a single sap, you're taking so much damage. So you might be forced to Shadow Flame Coil to trade a card.
Yeah, Shadow Flame Coil seems pretty good. Risky business if you decide like to go for the taunt. Sap is obviously a big threat. He does clear the board really efficiently. Finds a Twilight Drake as well. That's a good draw for him. At least next turn, he has a nice body to contest Kolento.
Kolento just has a clear Azure Drake. This is what you have to love. Azure Drake on an empty board versus Handlock on turn 5.
It's excellent. He draws a sprint as well, so more card draw available to him. He has removal, he has saps. Kolento has a nice hand here. He has options to deal with the threats that come down. Twilight Drake's going to come down here, and the Ooze is going to try and protect his... Well, the Ooze actually protects his own Ooze from the weapon, which is pretty good as well. But also, it takes away another a damage option to deal, say, with the Drake, so a good play from Thijs there.
It's interesting how this game works, where Kolento just wants to put some threats, be the aggressor, and maybe draw some cards along the way to have all the key cards in his hand, like Oils and Flurries I mentioned before. And for Thijs, it's just defense, defense, defense. He needs to protect himself from the incoming damage, and while doing so, maybe set up a taunt wall, and then if he survives, he will be able to take the game. But for now, Kolento is having tempo, and that's exactly what Rogue wants to have, having those minions dealing damage.
And Kolento's last turn actually lined up really nicely. They sapped the minion, got the SI for the board clear, and once again, Thijs is on the defensive. He does have taunt options, but the problem is 7 mana is not the best for him. He can't, say, play a minion and taunt up. Voidcaller won't actually find anything either, so he looks like he goes for the safer play here. Able to remove the Dart Bomb as well, that's really good for him. So this Twilight Drake can now contest the Azure Drake come his next turn, if it sticks around, that is.
Kolento has a... Oh, he picks Preparation as well. I was thinking Sprint on 7 at this moment with this board is not terrible. You do lose your Azure Drake, but starting from turn 8, you will have all the options you need. But on the other hand, he might just Sabotage as well, just to keep the minion on board, to keep pressuring Thijs and not lose the tempo by just drawing cards.
Yeah, you can prep Sabotage actually, and that's a nice clean kill there, dealing with the 4-8. Doesn't have to start throwing Eviscerates and stuff like that. And Eviscerate is a very nice card for Kolento to close out the game in its final moment, so he gets to keep hold of that, and he gets to put Thijs down at 15, so he's put a lot of pressure on him. It's really threatening.
Thijs has the Defender of Argus, but he doesn't have anything great to turn up. He has double heal bot though. But if you lose tempo, if you are on the receiving end, healing is not solving the issue. The issue are the minions in front of you that you need to deal with. He can Hellfire Coil, but then he's damaging himself, dropping to 12, so it doesn't seem that great. With the Void Coil, he doesn't have any minions as well. This is looking tough for Thijs. He can't even tap to draw cards.
What is Kolento going to find here? Fan's a Fan of Knives.
Wow, that's 3 points of damage with just Fan of Knives. Clearing Argus and putting that Void Coil on 2 health, which can be dealt with by Deckhand even.
Deckhand or Deadly Poison. I mean, Deckhand is really good for setting up a good Tinker's turn, but Deadly Poison also kind of does the same thing as well. It activates the combo. I do like Fan of Knives here. He does clear one of the minions straight away. He gets a draw off it as well, so he may find even another answer to deal with this Void Caller, right? Committing, say, a Scythe Sea or a Deadly Poison. So Fan of Knives going to come out here. What will he find? Which will help another Tinkers, so even more burst available to him. Things are looking really good for Kolento here. Ties it on the back foot.
Kolento was 1 damage of lethal, by the way. If there will be no demon drop, because he could do what he could do is just weapon up, Deadly Poison, Tinker. Well, actually, Tinker will have to hit the Deckhand, so not necessarily. This is definitely a better play. Just draw your cards, clear the board, put even more pressure. Double Tinker in hand is just amazing. And even if something weird happens to this board, he has that sprint to refill his hand and have even more options. Eviscerates.
Thijs' tournament life is on the line here. He has double heal bot. He can only use one of them heal, but the minions on board are going to stick around. Hellfire will take it down to 1 health, and you'll be able to clear one of the Mortal Coil. Things are looking really bleak here. He might need a tap to try and find something. What do you do here as Thijs?
You might tap to get a Molten Giant. That might be your only hope. And it's really unfortunate that he didn't get any of those Molten Giants. Healing back to... So if he taps, he'll have 7 mana available. Then if he gets a Molten Giant, he will be able to play it. That's not a Molten Giant at all. And this seems that, yeah, that will be it. And Kolento is taking the series versus Thijs 3-1. Amazing play by both players, but somehow didn't work for Thijs. And Kolento just super calm about it. He will be our winner.
Kolento will be able to go on further in the bracket here. He has secured his spot to China and some prize money going into the next round. And it's Kolento's tournament to take now. He's shown that he can come back. He had a poor performance during the first few days, but now he's picked it back up. He's got his first win on board. Can he carry this momentum on to the grand finals and take the tournament we will see tomorrow? Fantastic play from Kolento and Thijs as well. Thijs worked really hard to get here and he worked really hard in the tournament. So you've got to give a hand out to Thijs as well.
Absolutely. We had 4 players in this tournament and only amazing talents, great, like top players in the world. So, you know, being 4th, there's no shame in that. He played exceptionally well. He brought a really good lineup, and just losing here at this point doesn't matter that much. But on the other hand, Kolento, after losing those 3 matches, he is on the momentum, as you said. Can he take the other 2 series?